Good morning on this Mother's Day. Thank you for joining us. In breaking news overnight, 3 people suspected of playing a role in the death of 2 police officers in Hattiesburg have been taken into custody.
Curtis, did you do it?
Nope, I ain't do.
These are the men accused of opening fire on 2 Hattiesburg police officers. They've been identified as brothers. They're 26-year-old Curtis Banks and 29-year-old Marvin Banks. We're told Marvin Banks was arrested first at a motel in Hattiesburg around 1 a.m. Curtis Banks was picked up 2 hours later at an apartment complex. We're working with officials with MBI to get more details about their arrest and official charges. We're told a third person, 22-year-old Joni Calloway, was also arrested in connection to this crime. Now, we're told the situation stemmed from a traffic stop on Gordon Street, and the shooting happened at Briarfield Apartments. That was around 8:30 last night. Warren Strain of the Mississippi Department of Public Safety says an officer stopped a 2000 gold Cadillac Escalade in an industrial corridor. A second officer arrived to assist him, and that's when the shots were fired. The 2 officers killed have been identified as 34-year-old Officer Benjamin Dean and 25-year-old Officer LaCorey Tate. Memorials like this one, strewn flowers in front of the police department at the fallen officer monument, have been showing up all over town. They're also at the scene of the crime. Now, they're being put here by people who want to show support for these families who've lost loved ones for reasons that we can't understand. People place their bouquets about a 10-minute drive away from the scene of the crime, Gordon Street, where Saturday evening officers Benjamin Dean and LaCorey Tate were gunned down on the pavement during a traffic stop.
It was about 10 gunshots because our apartment was real close to what happened. It's just really tragic that 2 people lost their lives yesterday.
We know that the officer called for backup for a reason. And as they go through that, we don't want to and we will not jeopardize this investigation.
Hattiesburg Mayor Johnny Dupree says the motivation of the suspects is still being investigated. But the mother of the male suspect says her oldest son was on the drug spice. However, toxicology reports have not yet been completed. What we do know, Officer LaCorey Tate was only 25 years old. His friend said he had an infectious smile.
He's always smile. He loves showing his little teeth. He's always smile. He loves smile. He was always happy. He wasn't never just mad or just upset. He was a happy person.
And Officer Benjamin Dean, well, people in this city say he was known as a leader.
Officer of the Year, you couldn't find a better person than him. He was K-9 officer. Both of these men leave to mourn their parents. Officer Dean also leaves to mourn his wife and 2 small children.
And both of those police officers were taken to a local hospital. That is where they would be pronounced dead, and the arraignments for these suspects could be scheduled for as early as tomorrow morning. In Forest County, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
What hasn't been lost in the Hattiesburg community is the fact that the victims here aren't just faceless police officers.
As is often the case these days, social media can help tell the story. WJTV News Channel 12's Jacob Kittilstad found some pictures and video that give us a glimpse into their lives.
Officer LaCorey Tate, just 25 years old, posted this video to Facebook before his death. You can see he's having a good time, and his friends say he was known for his good attitude. His happiness showed in this status posted about 1 year ago. Quote, "I graduated the police academy today. I am now a police officer. I would like to thank God, the police academy, the police department, my family, friends, and loved ones."
He's always smile. He loves showing his little teeth. He's always smile. He loves smile. He was always happy. He wasn't never just mad or just upset. He was a happy person.
Kadetrius Holmes, a good friend, repeats the same sentiments shared by Mayor Johnny Dupree.
Terrific individual, just a infectious smile, just a great individual. We're really proud that he came to Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
The other slain officer, 34-year-old Benjamin Dean, was known for his commitment to the department, working with the K-9 program, and also his family was growing.
Officer of the Year, you couldn't find a better person than him. He was K-9 officer. Both of these men leave to mourn their parents. Officer Dean also leaves Des Moines his wife and 2 small children.
The reaction to the loss from the community has been one of disbelief. Kittilstad says the last time she saw her friend LaCorey, it was at a church service more than a week ago.
But I called his phone and went straight to voicemail, and I said, nah, that's not him. So I called again about 10:38, and still no answer. Then I woke up this morning and seen it was him, and my heart just dropped.
In Forest County, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
Suspects in the shooting death of a pair of Hattiesburg police officers had their first appearance in court today. Jacob Kittilstad was there as their charges were handed down. Jacob?
The charges are more focused now, looking to one of these suspects. That's 29-year-old Marvin Banks. Currently, he is the only person charged with capital murder, 2 counts. And in fact, his family says that they expected that to be the case. Leaving the courthouse, Mary Smith, who's mother of 2 of the suspects, nodded agreement that her oldest son deserved his charges.
Do you feel like you're making the right choice trusting your son?
I can't tell right.
As more information is released,
Man, get the on with that camera, bro.
more emotions are coming out. In fact, even more gruesome evidence exists in the deaths of officers Benjamin Dean and LaCorey Tate.
I believe Hattiesburg does have dash cameras.
Do you see is video from that car part of the evidence?
I better not comment on that at this point.
One person has been watching this news develop from afar.
This is a trip I don't want to make. I don't want anybody to have to make this one. Nobody.
Officer Tate's father, Ronald, is still waiting in Atlanta. From 2 states away, he remembers his son's nonviolence, including during his training becoming a police officer.
11 months, my son been on force. He's never unstrapped his gun. My brother, one of my brothers, texted me today, are you in Mississippi yet? And I said, well, no. And I said, because when I get there, my son gonna be dead. When I get there, my son is gonna be dead to me. As long as I'm here, he's not dead yet. And I know I gotta go.
And already in Hattiesburg,
Oh, Lord Jesus, please.
another family waits to see the outcome of their son's case in court. And during court today, Marvin Banks repeatedly tried to interrupt the judge asking to make a statement. And following that, he just seemed to stare at law enforcement officers who were in the room. In Forest County, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
Tonight, leaders from across the state converge at the state capitol.
This year, 7 names are being added to the monument honoring officers who died in the line of duty, and that includes the Hattiesburg officers killed this weekend. Jacob Kittilstad joins us live from the monument. Jacob?
Yeah, the deaths of officers Benjamin Dean and LaCorey Tate happened so recently, in fact, that their names have not yet been added to this monument. However, people are clearly wanting to show their support based on the high attendance of this evening's event. Law enforcement motorcycles roll through first, followed by the flags, reaching the black monument with a century worth of names etched into its side. This past weekend, that list grew.
LaCorey Tate, Hattiesburg Police Department. The day before Mother's Day, Mrs. Dean and Mrs. Tate had lost their children. Benjamin Dean, end of watch, May 9th, 2015. Because their children had decided early in life to become law enforcement officers. The 2 names that were added onto the wall for this year is John Thomas Collum and John Robert Street.
Tell me, which one?
John Street's family, including his 4-year-old son, Michael, drove up from the coast for this event. Danielle Street says it's moments like these that help her after her husband died while on duty in Iraq.
It doesn't get easier, but it gets easier with the people who we've met in the process. The amount of support that you get when something like this happens is just amazing. We've got letters from New Zealand, Afghanistan, from everywhere. It's just that from people that you don't even know, the support they give you is just amazing.
And Governor Phil Bryant says it's important not to forget these families or the officers.
See, this nation somehow has lost its way on occasion when supporting our law enforcement officers. but not in Hattiesburg, not in Mississippi.
And the most recent names will be added before next year's ceremony. In Hinds County, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
1 week ago, 25-year-old Officer Tate was gunned down while providing backup during a traffic stop. He was on the Hattiesburg Police Department for less than a year. WJTV News Channel 12's Jacob Kittilstad has this from the farewell at West Point Baptist Church.
Tell me when your loved one has passed, tell me how do you deal with the stain?
His family had a nickname for him, Coco, and it was a fun pet name to match his attitude, someone undeserving of being shot in the back.
I love him. You love him. I just thank God for the time you allowed him to be with us.
Officer LaCorey Tate called many places home during his life, Starkville, Macomb, but it was here in Hattiesburg that he achieved his life goal, becoming a police officer, one with a winning smile and a kind heart.
Tate came in late. We were all standing up there talking about, Tate, how many tickets you wrote? Oh man, I wrote a good amount today. How many you wrote, Tate? I was pretty nice today. How many you wrote? 13 courtesies, 1 citation.
He loved his job. The reason I know he loved it so much because when he got off work and he came home, he still had his uniform on. And he would walk around with his uniform on saying, look at me, Uncle Dennis.
But it wasn't always that way. In fact, his life led up to a transformation. One of his pastors shared that a teenage LaCorey told him that he wanted to join a gang and he had committed a crime.
And God blessed me to be able to retrieve him, and he spent a couple of days in the youth detention, and when he came out, he found Jesus. Touch somebody and say, grace will do something for you.
Officer Tate's 13 siblings were joined by a legion of law enforcement, acting as an extension of family. And near the end of the eulogy, Pastor Dennis Johnson drew a connection to Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore, Maryland, where large demonstrations had happened in the streets.
What I want to know today is, 2 good officers has been taken from us. Where is the Lord? Where's God that been marching?
In Forest County, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
Where is God?